I, F57, lost my husband of 25 years last year. We have a daughter, F24, who's married for 2 years. My son passed away after her marriage, and it has been hell ever since. Our relationship with daughter was very good and without any incidents before her marriage. She was sweet and loving and was a great daughter overall. She got married to the man of her choice, SL, son-in-law. After that, it has all been downhill. She stopped coming to our house, stopped responding to our texts and calls, going almost NC. We weren't rich, although my husband had a lot of assets. They haven't been liquidated. When he died, he didn't leave a will because it was so unexpected. After his death, my dear daughter didn't even attend his funeral, nor in any other functions. She didn't even call to ask how I was. Barely 6 months after my hubby's passing, she and son-in-law barged into our house and brought with them a lawyer who told me to sign on some documents and a blank sheet. I know the legal processes and am not ignorant. I asked her what was in that docs. What I did, but here she was, demanding me to sign some unknown docs and a blank sheet and not answering any questions. I asked the lawyer what it was about. He said it was for transferring all the assets in her and son-in-law's name. I said no. Here it got violent. She attacked me and I had to scream for help. I didn't call the cops but told her to get out before I did. She was adamant about me signing and tried to take my thumb impression. At this point, my neighbors had come over and had witnessed pretty much the last part of forcing. My neighbor, bless his heart, physically kicked them out. After this, I was shaken and very hurt. I don't know what I did, and I was honestly scared for my life. She kept sending me messages, though not threatening cause maybe her lawyer told her so. She kept on sending sweet messages, thanking me for making her the beneficiary, transferring all assets to her, etc. I was disgusted. A week of harassment later, I decided I had enough. I wanted out. So I met my lawyer. He said since there was no will, I was the sole owner of all assets and could do as I wish. Long story short, I sold everything, made 8 figures, bought a new house in a place I'd always wanted to be, far from everyone. Now I plan to enjoy the rest of my life traveling and generally doing things I haven't been able to do, but which I've always wanted to do. I recently heard through the gossip vine that my daughter tried to start litigation against me shortly after I sold and left, but it fell through, as everything was in my name now. She now wants to meet me and is pressuring her lackeys to contact me and make me meet her. I said no. I don't understand why she did that, because it was all going to be hers anyway. They don't know where I am presently, and I'd prefer to keep it that way. I'm NC with her and son-in-law, and don't have social media except Reddit.
Comment 1. NTA should be dead to ME. Completely 100% dead, and you should report the lawyer to the bar. He witnessed and participated in a crime and should be despaired. Your neighbor is a witness, so it's not he says she says. Who's the lawyer's usual clients? The bloody Gabinos? Comment 2. I'd do 2 things. The first is exactly what you are doing. Enjoy life. The second would be to make a will leaving all my assets to a favorite charity or even the neighbor that helped you out. She allowed a man to change her to the point that she only wanted contact with you when it came to money. If she doesn't want to be a real daughter, then let it be that way for good. Comment 3. What's to be the lawyer wasn't really a lawyer. If he is, then he's a pretty dodgy one and deserves to be reported. As you're your daughter, any and all family assets are yours until you die. Then they go to your beneficiary. There is not guarantee that she will be the beneficiary. You are fully entitled to leave your earthly belongs to whomever or wherever you desire, a shelter, the SPCA, the Man in the Moon Fund, whatever, including your daughter. Please remember that no is a complete sentence. Enjoy your life. Go out and have the life you want. Who knows, maybe the bucket will be empty when you kick it. Background: I, 20F, bought a VIP ticket in May for a concert in the end of July that was close to $500. I had worked very hard that month to be able to pay for it, but I did not consult my parents before making this decision. My parents, Dad is 40 and Mom is 42, are conservative and Christians. This is on the back of me being upset for not being allowed to go to a concert with some friends the day that we hit a deer, and them not liking that I would not shut up about being upset and letting them know I was not happy with dealing with consequences for something that did not harm us. As well as a just settled argument between my parents. Story: I was planning on telling them in July on my birthday so that they would likely let me go, but unfortunately they checked my bank statements and saw the payment before I could tell them myself. These disagreements have caused a lot of tension, and we are getting more on edge the closer the concert gets. My sister, F22, and brother, M14, have said that they understand that I will not cancel the ticket, but that I went about the wrong way and should have told my parents before I bought it, especially knowing how they are. My parents, since the finding of the ticket, have been on my back about cancelling it and say that I am humiliating, disrespecting, and undermining their authority as parents for saying that I will not cancel the ticket. They have lectured me multiple times on this and seem to not like that I also give them my opinions on the matter when I should just obey what they say, as they are my parents and should just be obedient, as the Bible says to honor your father and mother. These last couple of weeks have been hard, as now that my parents are sort of excluding me, my siblings have had to step in filling in what I would usually do around the house and with helping my parents with their various chores or business they need to take care of. My siblings are quieter than they have been, and my parents are more upset than usual with us, which has us walking on eggshells. From my parents' viewpoint, they have said that as my parents they deserve to know any decisions I make, and that me not consulting them was not right. They are upset that I did not communicate with them and that I am not obeying their world, when as Christians we should not be associating with these worldly activities. They have let me know that I am hurting their feelings by not understanding that me going is putting me in danger and causing me to sin, that they are only looking out for me and don't want me to go down a path that could damage my well-being. Comment 1. NTA, but you really need to separate yourself from your parents if you want to have any sort of life. Legally speaking, they can't stop you from leaving. How did they pull you out of work? You're an adult. Get your own bank account under your own name, at a different bank than the one your parents bank at. Start looking for your own place. You may need roommates, depending on where you live and what kind of job you have. Your parents aren't being Christian. They're being controlling. Comment 2. YTA to yourself for letting yourself, a legal adult, be nitpicked and controlled to this extent that other people, even your parents, have access to, and think they have a say, about your bank account information. It doesn't matter if they are turbo Christians or anything or whatever. I am sorry you have been brought up this way and you are still so enmeshed. At a certain point, you will have to decide you must have autonomy and privacy in your life, if only to go to a wretched concert of your choice. If not now, then when? I, 31F, am marrying my wonderful fiancé, 30M, in Vegas next year. We are going more budget-friendly, getting married at the Little White Chapel, and not having an actual reception/party after. We're paying for everyone's dinner at a nice buffet, so there's something for everyone. It's just going to be a couple friends and immediate family. Our family lives all over the place, so there isn't really a central location to have a wedding that's convenient for everyone, and we've both talked about having a Vegas wedding since we met. We did agree to pay for our parents' hotel rooms, so they are in the same hotel as us, and where we're having dinner after the wedding, they just have to pay for their plane tickets. Kind of pricey, but my parents don't have the money to spend on the hotel, so we figured we'd be fair and pay for both sets of parents to be there. After hearing we're paying for the parents' rooms, my fiancé's sister, F23, is reaching out asking if we're paying for her room as well, since she doesn't have the money for it. He explained that we're only paying for the parents, but she can ask to share with their parents since there's 2 queen beds in their room. She wants to bring her BF and his parents won't allow her to share a room with them and him, their choice. She said it's unfair to only pay for some of the guests' rooms and not others, and if he wants her there he'll pay for her and her BF's room. He explained is not in the wedding budget and she'll have to come up with the money for a room if she wants to come. Now his other sisters are telling us that we should pay for her room if we want her to be there, since my fiancé knows she's bad with money. He's told them attending isn't mandatory, and while it would be nice if the whole family could attend, he understands if they can't afford it since it's a destination wedding. He suggested the three of them share a room, but they all have significant others they want to bring, so they don't want to share rooms. Now all three sisters are saying they aren't coming because we're too good to pay for his little sister, even though we're paying for my parents to attend. I feel like they're just trying to guilt trip us into paying, and it's working because he feels guilty for only paying for some people's rooms. I'm holding firm that we aren't paying, but he thinks we might be in the wrong here. Comment 1. NTA, it's Vegas, they gotta have budget hotel options for cheap. If you pay for her hotel, then she'll say you should pay for her plane tickets, then her food, then her drinks, and on and on. You have a budget, and her room is not in the budget. Stand your ground. If your other two sills have such a strong opinion that she can't afford it, maybe they should all chip in to pay for her. And again, she could still go without her BF and stay in her parents' room, so if she doesn't value seeing her brother get married enough to do that, I don't think you want her at the wedding anyway. It sounds like she want a free fancy vacation rather than to see you two get married. Stand your ground. Comment 2. NTA, and those sisters sound like brats. As soon as someone says, it's not in the budget, the other person should shut the hell up and leave it. Paying for your parents is lovely. Parents should be at their child's wedding. Congratulations on the nuptials. I hope the sisters simmer down and come to their senses. If not, I hope you and your fiancé stop engaging in the conversation. Asked and answered is one of my favorite phrases for shutting down nonsense. Comment 3. NTA. You have a budget. You're using it to foot your parents' rooms and your own expenses. Maybe your fiancé should tell his other sisters that if the youngest being there is so important to them, then maybe they should be the ones to pay for her room. I'm a 34-year-old male, married to my wife, a 32-year-old female, for just over 2 years. We've been together for 6 years and have a great life together. My wife has a 13-year-old son from a previous relationship who lives with us, and I've been in his life since he was 8. I have had dreadlocks for the past 15 years, and naturally, my son wanted to emulate me by getting locks of his own, which he's had for 5 years. Although I strive to be a good father, my son is very spoiled. Whenever I try to instill some discipline, I face resistance from him, his mother, and his grandparents. As a result, I've resigned myself to giving him what he wants, figuring there's no point in trying to discipline him if no one else supports it. He's not a disrespectful child, but he's not as respectful as he could be and is very spoiled. Recently, some kids at his school have been bullying him about his hair, trying to convince him to cut it. His grandfather had already told him not to let the kids bully him into cutting his hair. One day, while we were around some of his friends, he expressed a desire to cut his locks. I reminded him of his grandfather's words and told him he couldn't cut it. In front of his friends, he called his grandmother, asked if he could cut his hair, and she said yes. He then looked at me and said, "I bet I cut my hair." I responded that we had spent too much money on his hair and he shouldn't let anyone bully him into cutting it. A week later, my wife asked me again if our son could cut his hair. Frustrated, I said it was his hair and he could do whatever he wanted, but reminded her that his grandfather had said no. Ultimately, he got his hair cut. As you can guess, he now regrets it and wants to reattach his locks. My wife told me about his frustration, but I feel no sympathy because I warned him he wouldn't like it, yet he did it anyway. Here's why I think I might be the R. My wife expressed that I need to be more comforting to him and sensitive to his feelings because this is a hard lesson for him. I responded by saying that I told him it is just hair and it will grow back, but I am not consoling him or having any pity or sympathy towards him because of the disrespect I received when he chose to call his grandmother in front of me and attempt to shame me in front of his friends. For this, I will not console a 13-year-old who had no respect for me. I don't care that his feelings are hurt because I warned him and, in the end, he got exactly what he wanted. It's not my fault he doesn't like it. I tried to warn him, and now he has to deal with the consequences. She is upset because I don't have more sympathy for him. Comment 1. Dude. He should have been able to cut his hair in the first place without all these people telling him what to do. And while you certainly don't need to reattach his locks, you can be a little bit comforting. I've had haircuts I regret before. It's always a shock for a few days, but you get used to it, and it grows back. I had this same thing with my daughter after a haircut the other day. And I will admit, after she had brought it up 25 times in an hour, I told her to stop obsessing. I'm not perfect, unfortunately. But first I talked it through with her like I just said. Comment 2. I understand this is easier in hindsight. I certainly said things or handled things in a way I regretted later. The conversation could have gone. Son in front of his friends, I want to cut my locks. You can if you want to, just make sure it's something you want. I also want to let you know that we are unable to replace them anytime soon if you do cut them and decide you want them back. I'm only letting you know this so you have all the facts before you make your choice. Why don't you sleep on it and let me know what you decide tomorrow?